Just hours after her final plea for mercy, we found out the 32-year-old wasn't done talking.
Nobody believes what I'm saying anyway.
You said it right there, no one believes a word out of your mouth. Why do you keep talking?
Because I know that I'm not just, I've lied before, that doesn't mean that I'm a liar by definition, by character.
Oh, I'm sorry, this guy.
Why do you keep talking? You said today you want to give Travis's family closure. You know they want you dead. So why don't you give them that closure?
What the? Oh my gosh, Ryan!
What do you mean by that?
This is the most brutal interview I've ever seen. Jodi Arias. Jodi Arias. This woman needs no introduction. This is the woman who took the life of her on again, off again boyfriend and stalking victim Travis Alexander in the most brutal of ways on June 4th, 2008. It is one of the most notorious cases of all time. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with it, so I will be brief in the setup, but if you do want a full-length deep dive, you know I got you, okay? I already have a full deep dive Jodi Arias doc up on my main Swoop channel, so I will link it below. So this is the case where Jodi Arias met a young man at a conference. They sparked a hot and heavy relationship that lasted about a year, but they still kept in contact, were still kind of hooking up. Their friends would describe their situationship as very intense and passionate, but also that Jodi kind of like scared the out of them because Jodi would do all kinds of stalker type behavior. She would eavesdrop on him. She would follow him, like to the bathroom, show up at his house, like hide in his closet when he's got people coming over. One time he shows up and she's in his kitchen baking, what was it, cookies or muffins or something? Yeah, she went through his messages, forwarded a bunch of them to herself. I mean, his friends even told him that they were afraid that one day they would find him chopped up and in the freezer. They were literally that concerned. Now, Travis was coming up in the Mormon faith. He wanted Jodi to convert. He was looking for a wife, needed a Mormon wife, but she wasn't the one in his eyes. And let's be real, there were some bad text messages. They had a huge blow up fight, but none of that excuses what happened whatsoever. Jodi eventually formed an incredibly elaborate murder plot. This involved dyeing her hair, purchasing gas cans, because that's normal to put gas cans in your trunk and then drive forever. She turned off her cell phone, went on this really long drive. She was using cash only and drove from California to Utah with a secret stop in Mesa, Arizona to visit Travis at his home one last time. Now, during that one last visit, they reportedly had sex. There were photos taken. There was an impromptu photo shoot. There were photos of her just laid out in her birthday suit, placing her at the scene of the crime. And then she kind of played photographer, taking pictures of him in the shower. So he was basically as vulnerable as he could possibly be, if you can imagine being in the shower, which is just truly awful. And so in the moments after taking that photo, she took a knife and a gun and brutally took his life. Full stop, not allegedly, bitch, she did it in cold blood. There's really no question about it. She is guilty as hell. And what did Miss Arias tell the police? Well, besides doing headstands and talking about how she should have done her makeup.
You should have at least done your makeup, Jodi, gosh.
Well, it depends on the day. Your Honor, yes, I'd like to plead that Jodi lies a lot. Like a lot. Like she never met a lie she didn't like.
I didn't hear you breathe.
Like, Jodi changed her story like 3 freaking times, okay? Like, first, she didn't do it. She wasn't even there, like, wasn't even like in the state. Then she was there, but it was masked intruders who broke in and did it, and somehow she escaped.
And this guy came back in. And she said that, they needed to, do me too, because it was there. And he's like, no, that's not why we're here.
And then she changed her story again 5 years later in 2013, saying, "It was self-defense, Your Honor. It was all self-defense." And she testified this at her 4-month televised trial where she took the stand for 18 days. 18 fucking days. That is absolute unhinged shit. tittle-bit behavior in a court of law. Like 18 days, that is so long that even like terrifying defense attorney Mark Garagos, you know, the dude who defended Scott Peterson and blamed everyone but Scott for what happened to his poor pregnant wife, Lacey, that attorney, yeah. Even Garagos said that Jodi's 18-day diatribe was unprecedented, and it was. But it makes perfect sense because, dear Suspirians, Miss Jodi Arias likes to talk a lot, and she never seems to stop talking because as long as the cameras are willing to roll, so will her tongue with so many lies. Look, that woman never met an interview that she didn't like. Jodi was all about being beamed through the space-time continuum, broadcast to a television near you.
That's really all I needed. Sorry. Don't roll the tape yet.
To the dismay of defense attorneys across the freaking globe, really, Jodi wouldn't or couldn't stop doing interviews. And what was like most bizarre about her appearances on TV was the timing of some of these interviews. Like, bitch, listen, she did interviews before the trial, she did interviews during the trial and after the trial. What? Yes, you heard that right, Suspirians. During the trial, this woman was doing interviews, including one while the jury was literally deliberating and she was waiting for the freaking verdict. What is happening? Yeah, wild. So today we're gonna look at the wildest Jodi Arias interview moments. It is a weird ride. And I mean, some of these interviewers were not having it. So let's dip in. But first, oh hi, hello, it's Swoop, and welcome to the dark waters of the Suspool, the place where everything and everyone is sus, maybe even us. Come on in, the water's fine. Now, if you're new here, welcome to my second channel. On my main channel, Swoop, I do full-length deep dives, and over here, we dip into the dark waters of bizarre, twisted, sometimes scary, always sus stories while trying to figure out who or what belongs in the Suspool. Now, today, we don't have to guess who's in the Suspool for this one. It's Jodi's all alone in the Suspool, and I ain't gonna throw her a life raft. She's just gonna have to swim. If you're into mind-bending, dark, and twisted tales, subscribe to this channel, bring a towel, and go ahead and just tickle the like button. She likes it like right under the chin and on the little rib cages. Yeah. Okay, Suspirians, we're gonna dip into the dark waters, but first I'm gonna be a little nosy. How's your relationship doing? Yeah, I asked it. How's your communication, honey? You good? Well, you know Swoop has got you, so a huge thank you to today's sponsor, the Paired app. You've heard me say it many times before, but I absolutely love the Paired app. I said this months ago, this is one of my favorite apps of the year, and I still mean it. Honey, let's get into it. So Paired is a relationship care app that you can use to deepen your connection and relationship with your partner with super fun daily couples questions, relationship games, quizzes, and so much more. It kind of reminds me of those couples games, you know, the ones where like you answer a question and then see if your partner answers matches. Like, so cute, right? Well, think of the Paired app like that, but way more insightful. The Paired app gives prompts that create meaningful conversations about things that you maybe haven't thought to talk about. And what makes it really fun is that you can't see each other's answers until you both finish the quizzes or games. Like, it's so fun waiting, and then when you see that day that they answered, it's like unlocking new closeness and intimacy, and you learn so much, not just about each other, but honestly about yourself too. The Paired app is like your ultimate relationship companion right in your phone. The interactive games are so much fun, and I love the other features like the timeline tracker to keep track of special dates and memories, which definitely comes in handy for your anniversary gifts. Okay, let me tell you, you're not gonna forget one again. And it works with every kind of relationship, whether you just met or you've been together for years. There is no time limit on healthy communication, honey. Why not give your relationship the gift of a subscription to Paired for yourself and your partner? I absolutely love the Paired app. I've been using it for months now, and it really does make such a difference. Click my link below to get a 7-day free trial and 25% off Paired Premium so you can deepen your connection with your partner, because you both deserve it, honey. Okay, back to the purple, and let's dive in to the Suspool. Okay, we're gonna kick it off with the famous interview that Jodi did 20 minutes after she was convicted in court. Yes, all rise, the jury has reached a verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant Jodi Arias guilty of first-degree murder. Guilty. Jodi was found guilty as
Upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty.
The jury had no doubt about it. In fact, they found the crime was exceptionally cruel, which made her eligible for the death penalty. But that adds another heavy layer of responsibility on the jury. And less than 20 minutes later, here's Jodi interviewed by Troy Hayden for Fox 10 Phoenix.
Who's making it? Want to go over her shoulder?
She literally just found out. She just got the verdict right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
We good? Good, yeah.
Has anyone ever done an interview immediately after getting their verdict?
Just a couple of minutes ago, you...
I think this is the face of someone who's like, oh, I don't have control over this situation anymore. This is the face of a woman who's like, oh, this didn't work the way I wanted it to.
You heard the verdict from the jury. What are your thoughts?
I think I just went blank. I don't know. I just feel overwhelmed. I think I just need to take it a day at a time.
She's saying she felt overwhelmed, which, sure, of course, we'll give her that. It seems like it would probably be an overwhelming thing to be found guilty of murder. But why is she doing this interview? Your first thought was, hey, I would like to have an interview scheduled immediately after finding this information? That's wild, man.
Was it unexpected, do you think, this verdict?
It was unexpected for me, yes, because there was no premeditation on my part. I can see how things look that way.
That to me is so wild to keep hanging on to this idea that it wasn't premeditated. I kind of did the bullet points of all of the steps that this woman took, including dyeing her hair, to make sure that this happened and to try to get away with it. I think people think premeditation requires a certain very lengthy amount of time for it to be considered that. I've seen some cases where they determined premeditation only lasted a few moments. This was a lot longer than a few moments.
I didn't expect the premeditation. I could see maybe the felony murder because of how the law is written, but I didn't. The whole time I was fairly confident I wouldn't get premeditation because there was no premeditation.
Jodi, the jury saw through it. She got the gun. She had the knife. She had planned an elaborate road trip alibi. She had the new boyfriend guy. She purchased gas cans that she carried in the trunk of the rented Ford Focus and turned off her cell phone. She dyed her hair. Did all of this to have zero trace of her detour to Travis's house in Arizona. And of course, she lied and said she was never even there. This is one of the most premeditated situations that I think we've seen, right?
It seemed, and you got a lot of questions from the jury, it seemed like some of those jurors didn't believe what you were telling them, didn't believe your story. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
I can understand that, I think, because of the lies that I told in the beginning to try to cover up this, cover up that, hide things that I didn't want to be known, made public.
Shocking. You can imagine the jury not believing a damn word out of your mouth because you lied to the jury repeatedly. She literally said that on the stand. She literally said, I couldn't keep up with my own lies. It shouldn't be surprising that the jury was like, okay, premeditated. So you must be lying about it not being premeditated, right? You must be lying about that as well.
Did you avoid eye contact with Travis's family while you were in there, or did you make eye contact, and what are your thoughts on that?
I typically avoided eye contact. Travis comes from a family where they all sort of look a lot alike. So when I see their faces, I see Travis, and I see the man that abused me, and I don't want to look at that.
So that was an interesting thing, right? When the third time she changed her story, when she shows up in court, the third story that she came up with was that it was self-defense. When she's having the photo shoot with Travis, taking his picture while he's very vulnerable, completely nude in the shower, suddenly her new story is that she accidentally dropped his camera, which, she did drop his camera, but that was literally during the murder. Because it took photos of him not alive anymore. But she says that it was self-defense, that she dropped his camera and that he, within moments, got so enraged. And now in the deep dive, we did go over, they had this big blow up, kind of text message fight. When we looked at the messages of that big fight they had where he's calling her all of these terrible names, we also have to remember she was stalking him for extended lengths of time before that, to the point where his friends literally said, hey, I'm afraid we're going to find you chopped up one day. This is a man who was coming home and finding her hiding in his closet, coming home and finding her baking cookies in the kitchen. Like, she had slashed his tires multiple times. She was harassing the woman that he was seeing and like early dating and stuff, like sent her very horrifying message with just the most vulgar language and calling this woman all kinds of names, this totally innocent woman. So Jodi was a very controlling person, but her saying that she didn't want to look at his family, this is just speculation, but I kind of feel like you probably didn't want to look at his family because you brutally ended the life of their family member.
Do you have a sense of where the public feeling is about you, whether you're liked or not liked? I mean,
I get the sense that there is great division on both sides, but I believe the majority is against me.
so what are your thoughts on that?
A psychologist once explained to me that society has this need to persecute people. They get some sort of gratification from it, so there might be something going on there.
There might be something going on to the fact that society doesn't like it when you murder someone. Just a thought.
Are you focusing on the court, or are you focusing on what could be the worst outcome for you?
Well, the worst outcome for me would be natural life. I would much rather die sooner than later. Longevity runs in my family, and I don't want to spend the rest of my natural life in one place. I said years ago that I'd rather get death than life, and that still is true today.
After she just got the guilty verdict, she is literally saying she would prefer to be given the death penalty.
I believe death is the ultimate freedom, so I'd rather just have my freedom as soon as I can get it.
It is just such a gross thing to say. Why do I feel like Travis didn't agree with that? But he wasn't given a choice, right? I don't think that this woman feels guilty for what she did. It's giving this like over the top altruistic, I want the death penalty. I'm willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice. Not because she's willing to give up her life for taking someone else's, but because that's the ultimate freedom. So then somehow that would also benefit her. There's something really sinister about the things she says and the way that she makes it sound like it's a benefit for her when it was an absolute tragedy for someone else.
And let's talk a little bit about what happened after you were at Travis's that night and that day. A lot of people who talked to me about it have said, how could she have gone out and been with another man, basically 24 hours after this? How were you able to put that behind you and basically go on a date?
I don't think I so much put it behind me as I just sort of checked out.
So this guy, she had this guy kind of set up as an alibi, this new boyfriend relationship thing, and he wound up testifying, and he said that she acted normal. Like, he had no idea, and I can't even imagine. That guy has to live the rest of his life knowing that he had intimate moments with a stone-cold killer within 24 hours after she brutally did this to another human being who was supposed to be her lover, right? That would be so chilling.
It's not like I went up there because I was hoping to pursue a relationship. I went up there because I thought, oh crap, I need to keep my schedule. So I went up there almost because I felt a sense of obligation inside in order to keep up the pretense, not because I was going off to have fun.
I don't know how that doesn't make her whole case worse for her. How is that not admitting to this was planned and I got to make sure to keep my schedule? That was supposed to be her alibi so that she could be like, I didn't go down to base Arizona. I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't even, that's literally what she told the detectives. I wasn't there. It wasn't me, Your Honor. I wasn't there. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why is my hair now dyed a different color? I don't know. I just felt like it for the summer.
Let's talk about the gas cans. That's another thing that keeps being brought up all the time. Was there a third gas can?
There was initially when I purchased it, but I really did return it. I got $13 and change back, and I went on my way.
A lot of people are saying, who carries gas in the trunk of their car?
I didn't fill it up until I realized I was going to be driving across the desert on a highway alone that I've never driven at night. And it's something that we began to do when I moved to the desert because we didn't want to get stranded somewhere. Just being from the coast, 120 degrees is a shock to your system. So we sort of would travel with provisions and things like that.
I mean, no one was buying that. No one was buying that. I'm not buying that. No one was buying that. She didn't want anyone to know that she was going to Mesa, Arizona.
You still think about Travis?
Yes.
In what way?
There's a lot of regret because I was really hoping to get a plea and avoid talking about all of the things that came out about him. If we had been able to avoid trial, we could have avoided just the murkier aspects of his life that he kept hidden. And these aren't just things that came from my mouth. They're his own words, his own emails, his own text messages, the activities that he was up to.
It is. She's saying that she wished she had a plea deal specifically so that his name, his reputation wouldn't have any tarnish on it because of the messages. Why do I feel like she wanted a plea deal so that she wouldn't be found guilty or she would be found guilty of a lesser crime and wouldn't have to serve as much time? You know, there was a lot of like sexting and that type of stuff that happened. There were something like 82,000 emails between the two of them, which is unbelievable, especially when you realize that these two only knew each other for a couple of years. She was okay with taking his life, but she wants to preserve his reputation.
None of that ever would have come to light. It would have just been forgotten, and he would be memorialized as not perfect by any means, but somebody who was known to adhere to his morals and the principles that he espoused. But now the curtain has been drawn and you can see the hypocrisy and everything that was there, and I regret that because I know that even though he was living the life of a hypocrite, that's not how he wanted to be perceived, and I think inside he really didn't want to live that kind of life.
It's kind of unbelievable. Like I'm almost at a loss for words. Again, we remember what she did to him. We also remember she was stalking him. So for her in this interview, after she's found guilty of what she did, where the jury's like, this was particularly heinous what you did, to sit here and call the victim a hypocrite when they can't speak for themselves, and they can't speak for themselves ever again because you took their life, that feels like the ultimate victim blaming.
All right, I think I gotta let you go.
Thank you. Do you know what time it is?
What time it is?
Yeah.
It's 20 after 3.
Okay, thanks.
And that's the end of that interview. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. So twice the jury couldn't decide in the penalty phase, so they mistrialed once, and then they brought in another jury to decide, and this jury also couldn't unanimously decide, so the death penalty was taken off the table by Judge Sherri Stevens, and she decided Jodi would get life without the possibility of parole. And wouldn't you know it, Jodi was running her mouth through the whole damn process. Like, if you haven't guessed by now, Jodi loves to hear Jodi speak. She loves to be on camera. And you know who absolutely gave no fucks about Jodi's lies? A man by the name of Ryan Owens. This man will forever live rent-free in my brain because of this interview. Like, y'all know that I give interviews. I've done quite a number of interviews, and the way that this man approaches an interview, like, I didn't even know that you could do that, because I'm just like, is that allowed? Because if I did something like that, oh my gosh, all hell would break loose, right? But this interview that he gives is brutal. Obviously, this is a very serious story and situation. Today, we are focusing on Jodi, and I don't have a lot of the patience for murderers. And when we just focus, again, on Jodi, not the crime itself, but if we just talk about the guilty woman who loves the camera, he's just balls to the wall, doesn't care, looking this woman in the eye, and he's like, you did this thing, and I don't give a about you. I'm just gonna be straight. I'm gonna say the things that you need to hear. That's the energy that I think he has in this.
To this day, I can hardly believe I was capable of such violence.
Even though the convicted killer has repeatedly said she'd rather die than spend her life in prison, When it really counted, she changed her tune, she claims, to spare her family.
But as I stand here now, I can't in good conscience ask you to sentence me to death because of them.
This is Jodi speaking. This is the penalty phase. She is speaking, essentially trying to plead for her life as to why she shouldn't be given the death penalty. Why she should be given a more favorable sentence to her. And right after that, she does another interview.
Just hours after her final plea for mercy, we found out the 32-year-old wasn't done talking. She sat down with me for a 40-minute jailhouse interview Tuesday night.
You said today you want to give Travis's family closure. You know they want you dead. So why don't you give them that closure?
What the? Oh my gosh! Ryan! Again, I'm not laughing over the crime, okay? We have established that that is a completely separate thing. This is just about Jodi and her lies and all of this shit, and I think that she deserved the piss to be taken out of her. And this man came just blazing out the gate.
You said today you want to give Travis's family closure. You know they want you dead. So why don't you give them that closure?
Oh, you know they want you dead. So why don't you give them the closure? That is some next level balls on him.
You know they want you dead. So why don't you give them that closure?
What do you mean by that? Why don't I kill myself? Is that what you're asking?
No, why don't you accept the fate of the death penalty if you know that's what they want? If you truly care about their closure.
If you truly care about their closure, why don't you give them what they want? I gotta say, I just, when you're dealing with someone face to face who did this to another human being and ended their life, I think like gloves are off at this point. You could feel like, we're not gonna sugarcoat this anymore, Jodi. You sugarcoated it and lied. We're not gonna do that anymore.
I've caused them a lot of pain. I've caused my family a lot of pain. And I think that by asking for death, I'm only gonna cause more pain to my family.
It's amazing because she was kind of campaigning, right? She's been like, all of these interviews seem like just kind of a campaign. She's campaigning to not be found guilty. She's campaigning to not get the death penalty. She's campaigning for people to like her. She's campaigning for public opinion, whatever it is, right? She's campaigning for the way the rest of her life is going through all of these interviews for years. And so I felt like when she was like, give me the death penalty, it's the ultimate freedom. Felt like she's campaigning on, look at me, everyone, the lights, the heavenly lights are shining on me and I am incredible. Even though I did this to another human being, I am willing to accept all the fate. But suddenly, when it becomes real, like real, she's changed her tune.
Why didn't you apologize to them?
I did apologize to them.
You never said I'm sorry.
I said that I'm sorry, that I'll never be able to make up for what I did.
Wow. Like, I didn't even pick up on that. Like, she did not say, I'm sorry for taking your son's life. It's the same family that years earlier, she said, well, I can't even look at them. And now she didn't even apologize to them.
And I can never replace their loss.
But you didn't use the word I'm sorry.
Well, then I'm sorry I didn't say that, because certainly I am sorry. I think in a sense, the words I'm sorry just seem meaningless, especially since nobody believes what I'm saying anyway.
No one believes what I'm saying anyways, so why bother apologizing? She didn't apologize to the family for what she did, for what she took. A life that had meaning. And now she's saying, well, I'm sorry that I didn't say sorry. It's like, okay, but are you gonna say sorry now? Because you still have it. You still have it. You still have it. And then she says, well, it doesn't have any meaning because no one believes what I say.
Meaningless, especially since nobody believes what I'm saying anyway.
You said it right there. No one believes a word out of your mouth. Why do you keep talking?
Because I know that I'm not just, I've lied before. That doesn't mean that I'm a liar by definition, by character.
I'm sorry, this guy.
Why do you keep talking?
Why do you keep talking? This is the most brutal interview I've ever seen. It's like he said what's on everyone's mind. I don't know. I feel like this guy's just like, F it. I'm gonna go in there. I don't give one shit about what she's got to say. I'm just gonna say what's on everyone's mind. I got 30 minutes for this interview. Let's just get to the point.
Because I know that I'm not just, I've lied before. That doesn't mean that I'm a liar by definition, by character.
To a lot of people, they think this switch from I want to die to now I want to live is just another lie from Jodi Arias.
I don't know what that means. Was I lying when I said I want to die, or was I lying when I say please spare my life, you know?
I don't know, Jodi. You tell me. You tell me. You tell lie? You know which one is the lie, so which one is the lie? Why are you being... Does that mean I was lying then? Or does that mean I'm lying now? I don't know if it's mind games. He is petty as hell. Okay, this man, Petty University, he gets a honorary doctorate.
Whatever happens, I'm just going to take it and deal with it.
I don't think you have a choice. Whatever happens, you're going to have to take it because you don't have a choice.
You've said that sort of thing a lot before, including right after you were arrested. You said,
I'm sorry, he is so petty. He's so petty, and he doesn't give one fuck.
You've said that sort of thing a lot before, including right after you were arrested. You said, my goodness, if I did something this horrible to Travis, I would beg for the death penalty.
Right?
You did it, so what changed?
My family changed my mind.
He is pissed off. I don't know. I don't know if he had spoken with the family. It's quite possible that he had, and he was just like, you know what? I'm just going to like kind of go in there and champion for this family. Because again, like if those were their wishes were for the death penalty, then like you can see the frustration, right? And now she's suddenly changing her tune again.
Some of Arias' last words to the jury were downright bizarre. She argued for life in prison by essentially presenting a political platform for the rest of her life behind bars.
He just said a political platform. She has been campaigning.
There are many things I can do to affect positive change and contribute in a meaningful way. In prison, there are programs I can start and people I can help.
She almost sounded like she was running for student council president.
He's so petty. Oh, he is reading her for filth up and down. Don't even return those books to the library. They are filthy.
The jury, she wanted to start a recycling program in prison, a book club, Spanish lessons for other inmates.
This is the t-shirt.
She was kind enough to bring a sample of the t-shirt she designed to raise money for domestic violence victims. She wants to keep selling those.
Wow. Wow. This woman calculated, plotted, planned, premeditated the murder. She DV'd him to the point of taking his life and then made a shirt about it as a way to plead for her life for literally DVing someone to death.
Oh, and she told the jury if she lives, she can keep donating her hair to cancer patients who need wigs.
Listen, I just like, she has the right to campaign for her life, right? She does. She does. That's the way the court system is set up. Because just the way I feel about the death penalty, I like to think that people can be rehabilitated to certain extents, not that they should be let back out into society per se. I do feel like a life can be put to better use than being put to death. Again, that's just my personal opinion. And like, if you are in support of the death penalty, I'm sure you have lots and lots of reasons, and I can very much understand why someone would be in support of it. I agree that she could maybe start a book club or some type of program. But also, I can't imagine the family having to sit there and listen to this and think, why should you be given the opportunity to do anything? Why should you be given the opportunity to breathe?
In your final statement today, you talked about all sorts of things you might be able to do in prison. Teach other prisoners Spanish, donate more of your hair, start a recycling program. Do you know how trivial that sounded in the face of what you did?
Oh my gosh, he just takes no prisoners. Here I'm trying to be, Ryan, I'm over here trying to like, let's let people contribute something. And he's like, nah.
Well, there isn't a whole lot that I know about prison. And these are only things that I'm able to ascertain from having never been there. So I believe that when I get there, I will find better ways to contribute and pay back.
But can't you grow out your hair on death row and donate it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he is not letting up. Man,
Yeah, it'll be less wigs if I get executed. I mean, I know that sounds trivial.
She did not say. She just said that there would be less wigs if they gave her the death penalty. Well, there will be less wigs. As if AmazonPrime.com can't get you a new wig in 48 hours or less.
I know that sounds trivial.
It does.
That's the only way that I can contribute. I'm limited. I'm going off to prison. There are so many things that I'm no longer going to do. So in a sense, I was grasping at straws, but these are things that I can do. And at this point, that's what I'm holding on to.
Do you see how she, again, like in previous interviews where she makes it like when he was talking about his hypocrisy, Travis's hypocrisy and stuff, do you see how she makes things her benefit? And it makes it something like it's happening to her. Well, that's all I can contribute. I'm limited. Why are you limited? You're not being limited as like a punishment that's not deserved. You're limited because you took someone's life.
If you were on that jury and you had heard what they have heard, would you kill you?
I don't believe in capital punishment.
Jeez! Her tune has changed, hasn't it? She was all for the death penalty when that campaign suited her. And now she's not.
In this penalty phase, the jury heard from no character witnesses for Jodi.
But my fondest memories with him are...
No friends, no family, even though her mother has been in court every day of the almost 5-month trial.
Wow. Her mother was there through the trial, and her own mother did not provide a character witness at the penalty phase. At the penalty phase that is determining if she's going to be put to death or put to life on prison. But that says so much.
One thing that surprised a lot of people is that no one from your family got up to say anything nice about you when you were facing the possibility of the death penalty.
Well, that was a defense decision, and one that I was somewhat in agreement with. My mother wanted to. She had a letter written out that she wanted to read, and my dad was fired up. He wanted to talk, and my defense team didn't call either of them.
Jodi lies. Let's remember, Jodi lies. I would have to look into that because that sounds weird. I don't know. Is that implying that like the dad being fired up and stuff like that they were going to attack Travis and the family and it was going to go terribly for Jodi? Or is Jodi lying? That's wild.
But the impact of that is that you've lived on this planet for 32 years and you have no one other than yourself to come up and vouch for your character as a person when you're facing death.
Well, I did have people, and they were not called. I loved Travis, and I looked up to him. At one point, he was the world to me.
One of the other things you did say today is, look, I don't want to drag Travis's name through the mud. And at the same time you say that, you were up on that stand accusing him of abusing you and being a pet and all sorts of terribly awful things.
I forgot she accused him of being a PDF file on the stand, and it was a particularly reprehensible moment of the trial. I think a lot of people were very appalled. But her saying that she wants to, she doesn't want to drag his name through the mud. You took his life.
And to people who say you shot him, you stabbed him, you slit his throat, and then you killed him a 4th time when he was already dead by making up things about him to ruin his reputation, you say what?
Nothing was made up. Nothing was made up at all.
This woman sat on the stand and said that she couldn't keep up with her own lies. When in previous interviews, she said she was lying and she had lied. And then she was like, well, I don't know. Is this the lie or is this the lie? And it's like, you tell us. You have to take all of that into consideration.
I mean, it was a defense strategy for me to take the stand. And once I was on the stand, I was obligated to answer the questions that were posed to me.
I mean, she answered the questions. It doesn't mean they were honest.
And that's what I did.
But you know no one believes you, right?
That's not true. Maybe a majority of people don't, but I know plenty of people that believe me.
If you get life in prison, you could conceivably get out someday. Do you deserve freedom?
All I know is that if I were given freedom again, I would handle it very, very responsibly.
I don't know how anyone could possibly trust that. That was a really good question. So again, he's got some pettiness, but he also has very, very smart questions as an interviewer, and that was an excellent question.
So you think people should feel safe if Jodi Arias is out of these 4 walls at some point?
Great question.
I think so, yes. If you're not abusing me and attacking me and threatening to kill my life, there's no reason to fear.
You really are still sticking with that story?
It's not a story, it's the reality. And it's unfortunate, but it is the reality.
Okay.
I didn't know that you were a hater when you came to interview me.
Wow, she just called him a hater. He's asking the questions that honestly should be asked. And she just wrote it off as a hater. I didn't know you'd be a hater. What should he be?
A lot has been made about your appearance and your change in appearance. Was going from blonde bombshell to sort of the mousy church librarian look in court, was that a defense strategy? Was that your idea? What was that?
No, they don't sell Clairol hair dye in jail. So this is my natural hair color.
But there was more than just the hair color. The glasses, overall the demeanor was very different than the person that you were before this crime happened. What about that?
Well, this is a court of law. It's not a place to go and act crazy or, I shouldn't use that term, but it's not a place to go and just let loose. It's a court of law.
You know, that was a thing. They dressed her, you know, she suddenly got these little wispy bangs. The glasses came out. The very demure.
Very demure. Very mindful.
Absolutely is a defense strategy. It absolutely is a defense strategy. I've gone over that in different trials that we've covered where there are literal professions, consultants that are hired on, and they will strategize, particularly on the defense side, they will strategize about how the defendant should dress, how they should behave when they're sitting there during the whole proceedings. Every single thing that you see in a trial, at least if, you know, especially a heavily, you know, a televised trial, everything is plotted and planned down to the button, the jewelry, the earrings, the hair, what colors read as innocent, what necklines and heights of necklines make you more sympathetic to the jury. So of course, that was a strategy.
Will Jodi Arias spend her life in prison or be sent to death row, where there are no more lights, no more cameras, and no more TV interviews, which just might be the ultimate punishment for her? I'm Ryan Owens for Nightline in Phoenix.
OMG. Round of applause. Round of applause for Ryan Owens. My gosh. Again, I could never... If I interviewed someone like that, there are a few people that I would love to have that energy for in an interview. Oh, I would love it. But man, if I did it, we're just gonna leave that there. So Jodi actually did several interviews that afternoon, like she's wearing the same sweater and all of that. So it looks like this was, you know, kind of one of those standard pressers where many journalists would come in and get a block of time for their interview, everything, you know, one setup, they come in, interview, they leave, a new one comes in, you know, kind of like that. So for our last interview, here's ABC's Amy Murphy. Now in this one, Jodi makes a subtle but huge up to her entire story. Not that she hasn't been lying the whole time, but let's see if you catch it, okay? Which one of her lies is going to be in the Suspool?
How are you remaining so composed when this jury has your life in their hands?
Well, it was difficult. I think I was shaking, and I didn't know if anyone else would notice, but people commented on it afterward. I was almost convulsing. So I was very nervous. I was emotional, but it's like I have a lot of practice suppressing things, which isn't a good practice, but I utilized a little bit of that so that I could maintain my composure instead of getting overly emotional and not being able to proceed.
These are such bizarre things to be talking about given the circumstances.
How can you still love a man that threatened you, as you have alleged, and obviously scared you enough to do something that, I mean, it wasn't just a murder, it was a heinous, hideous murder. How can you say you still love that man that forced you, as you say, to do this to him?
It's an excellent, excellent question.
That wasn't the kind of person that he was trying to be. And Travis had many wonderful qualities, many redeemable qualities. And those are the qualities that I focus on. Those are the qualities that I liked and the qualities about him that I loved.
I don't know what she's talking about. Like, I don't know what she's going on about here. Those are the qualities that she loved. Her saying that he made her kill him it's kind of unbelievable.
And there's this quote that says, "We love those that know the worst of us and don't turn their faces away." But I think of my family when I think of that, but also because I know the worst of Travis. But I still wanted him to be happy, and I still wanted the best for him, and I never wanted any of this to happen.
This just feels like really extreme victim blaming. He can't speak for himself here. And she had a history of showing up in his closet. Can you imagine if the roles were reversed and she was hanging out with a new boyfriend and she gets, you know, ding dongs on the door and no one's there and goes out and sees her tires have been slashed. And then it happens again. And then it happens again. And then she comes home one day and a man is hiding in her closet. That would be terrifying. It's not any less terrifying that it was a woman doing it. And now she's trying to put what she did to him, what she planned and brought a gun to do. She's trying to blame the victim.
What did you want to happen on June 4th, 2008? You went to his house. What were you expecting was going to happen?
I really expected us to just hang out like we'd always done, and that would be the day.
I would love to know why she took a gun there. I would love to know why she got gas cans. I would love to know why she lined up an alibi. I would love to know why she dyed her hair.
At one point, the jury had a question for you, and they said, if you hadn't been caught, do you think you would have turned yourself in? And are you sorry you got caught? You said you couldn't answer that at the time.
Well, I couldn't answer that. I don't know if I would turn myself in. I'd like to think that I would, because that would be the right thing to do. On the other hand, can you imagine willingly giving up your freedom? That's a difficult decision to make.
So you wouldn't have done it?
I can't say that I wouldn't have. I can't say that I would have. I still don't know the answer to that question. And as far as being sorry that I got caught, I wouldn't couch it like that.
I think that generally if you premeditate something, you are going out of your way to not get caught, right?
From the outside looking in, the world looking at Jodi Arias at this point, they think that you love the attention. You know, you've allowed us to do interviews with you on the eve before the verdict. Are you enjoying the attention, for the record?
No, not this kind of attention.
I'm not sure why she would be doing these interviews if there wasn't some level of her enjoying this. It's just, again, Jodi has a long-standing history of lying, so I just have to take everything that she says with the tiniest pinch of salt at this point.
And you went there, you had hours of sex with this guy who you'd broken up with. He invited you in. Once again, muddying the waters, right?
Yes.
Were you just so frustrated with him and so angry with him?
No, I don't feel like I was ever angry with Travis.
You were never a scorned, bitter woman, jealous by these other women.
I had no knowledge of it. I assumed there were other women because that was his modus operandi.
This is a lie. This is a lie. She literally said in one of the police interviews, you know, when she's like faking being asleep and doing headstands and stuff. She literally said when they asked her about this other woman, the current other woman for the Cancun trip, she literally said that she was aware of her. And she literally said, Travis told me she might be the one, and that she was happy for him. This is a lie. This is a lie. She also sent that horrifying letter to another woman. The names, it was so abusive, it was so vile, and it was very aggressive. The language in that letter was very aggressive to this other woman that Travis was hanging out with. She was aware, she knew, and she aggressively harassed them. At least one of them, right? Was showing up again. One of the girls answered the door and the tires are slashed. She knew. And she violently responded. Her violence was in the form of the letter. Her violence was in the form of slashing of the tires. She knew. This is a lie.
We weren't in a relationship, so I can't dictate. I don't think I could ever dictate, even if we are in a relationship, what he does. That's his choice.
Except that she took his choice away permanently.
You must know all of America sits in judgment of Jodi Arias right now, and you really have been deemed the most hated woman in America. How does that make you feel?
I didn't know that. Actually, I feel a lot of love and support from people who want to help me, and I received an outpouring of love and support from other people. So all of that, it doesn't reach me.
And there you have it. Okay, Suspirians, time to step out of the dark waters of the cesspool. Grab a towel and dry off. That's what I got. If you want to hear more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to this channel and just tickle the like button. I don't know why I sounded like that, but tickle the like button. She enjoys it. For more, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to my main channel as well. And let me know in the comments if you have any stories that you would like me to dip into. We can take a look at the cesspool. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter linked below. That's where I post most often, and also announce opportunities to have your thoughts featured in my main deep dives on my main channel, Swoop. I have a brand new full deep dive Swoop documentary out on my main channel. That should also be linked below. And in the pinned comment, I highly recommend you watch after this. Also, you can grab your very own pieces from the Valid Ribcage and Valid Social Club collection in the Petty University shop linked below as always. I know that you're gonna love these pieces, and stay tuned for the first official Suspool apparel, also coming very, very, very soon. I've been working on that for a a long time, so I can't wait to finally have it out, my gosh. Be sure to click my link below to get a 7-day free trial and 25% off Paired Premium so you can maintain and deepen your connection with your partner and treat yourself to the healthy relationship you deserve, honey. Thanks for coming for a swim. Have a good day out there. Keep it creepy, keep it cute, and I'll see you next time in the cesspool. Swoop!